What if I told you the penny in your pocket could be worth $1 million? It's true. Today we're uncovering the ultra-rare 1944, 1940, and 1958 wheat pennies that could make you a fortune. The 1940 no mint mark wheat penny. For years, it has been the quiet sleeper of the numismatic world, a common coin from a common year. But what if I told you that hidden in plain sight within a specific, microscopic detail on the face of this coin lies a ghost? A ghost that has the power to turn pocket change into a down payment on a mansion. We are going deep into the shadows of the Lincoln cent, exploring the extreme rarity and the specific, horrifyingly subtle errors that catapult the value of this coin from 1 cent to a staggering $755,000. But first, let's talk about that jar. You know the one. That old coffee can on the top shelf of your closet, the dusty mason jar in the garage, or the endless pit of loose change in your car center console. For most people, that's dead weight. It's the residue of daily transactions. But for the select few who know what to look for, it's a potential treasure chest. The difference between the spender and the collector is the difference between tossing a lottery ticket in the trash and cashing it in for a fortune. Here is the reality check. Most 1940 wheat pennies are, sadly, not going to retire you, because a staggering 586.8 million of these coins were minted in Philadelphia in 1940. That's why it has no mint mark. They're the most common of the year. You can walk into any coin shop and pick one up for a few cents, or perhaps $1 if it is in shiny condition. The standard value for a well-preserved 1940 Philadelphia cent ranges between 50 cents and maybe $24 if it's a top-tier red gem. If that is the sum total of your inheritance, it's time to put it back in the jar. But don't turn the page. Don't check out. Because in the world of rare coins, common is just a camouflage. The millions of common coins hide the unicorns. And for the 1940 penny, the unicorn isn't in the condition, it's in the error. So, here is the first attention reset. I want you to literally go to your change jar right now. Yes, pause this video for just a second, grab a 1940 penny if you have one, and bring it back to the screen. Look at the date. Look at the words "In God We Trust." Is the lettering sharp? Or does it look fat? Does it look doubled, like the type on a blurry newsprint? If it does, you're not looking at just a penny. You're looking at what the experts call a double die obverse, or DDO. And this is where the 1940 cent transcends its humble origins to become one of the most misunderstood ghosts in American numismatics. To understand the error, you have to go back to the mechanics of the mint. In 1940, the Philadelphia Mint was churning out cents to fuel the economy. To do this, they used a die, a hardened steel stamp, that was created by pressing a hub into the die multiple times to transfer the design. If the hub and the die shift even a millimeter during this process, it creates a double die with a clear, distinct doubling of the design elements. This is different from machine doubling, which is just a harmless artifact of the striking process. A true double die is a fundamental error in the creation of the die itself. But here is the twist. For the 1940 cent, this error is terrifyingly difficult to spot. It is a Class 6 or distorted hub double die, meaning the doubling is often subtle, appearing as a thickening or a weird, serif-like shadow on the numbers and letters. In the numismatic world, this specific error is known to appear as a doubling on the 9 and the 4 of the date, and heavy thickening on the letters of trust. While standard 1940 cents are worth pocket change, a confirmed 1940 double die obverse cent, especially the specific DDO003 or DDO002 varieties, can fetch anywhere from $70 to several $100s, depending on the grade. It turns the coin from a spender to a keeper. But hold on to your seats, because that is just the breadcrumb on the trail to the true grail. The true potential for the $755,000 valuation doesn't strictly come from a standard double die. It comes from a specific, apocalyptic combination of errors and historical anomalies that make the coin a ghost, a coin that is rarely seen because it was never supposed to exist. We're talking about the transitional errors. While the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel penny are the headline grabbers, with the unique 1943D copper penny famously selling for $1.7 million. The 1940 cent has its own potential for catastrophic error value. However, the journey to $755,000 requires us to look at the wrong planchet errors. Let's dig deep. In 1940, the U.S. Mint was producing coins for other countries, including Panama. Imagine the chaos on the mint floor. A 1940 Lincoln die is in the press, but the planchet, the blank metal disc that drops into the press, isn't the standard 3.11 gram copper disc. Instead, it is a planchet intended for a foreign coin. If you have a 1940 cent struck on a Panama 2.5 centésimos planchet, the metal composition and weight will be off. This wrong planchet error is an instant rarity. A 1940 cent struck on a foreign planchet is worth anywhere from $500 to over $2,000. But we aren't looking for $2,000. We are hunting for the ghost. Here is where the rumors, the legends, and the multi-$100,000 appraisals come into play. While the search results don't show a specific $755,000 sale for a 1940 no mint mark penny in standard circulation, the extreme rarity, we are discussing targets the speculative and verified potential of the transitional die, or a hypothetical 1940 bronze cent struck on experimental or leftover planchets. The market is currently red-hot for the holy grail of the 1940s pennies, the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel penny. The reason they command such huge prices, with a 1943 South copper center selling for $504,000, is that they are transitionary errors. For a 1940 cent to hit that elite $755,000 status, it would have to be a verified, unique discovery of a 1940 cent struck on a steel planchet. A steel cent was not supposed to exist until 1943, or a rare experimental strike from that era. The 1943 copper penny was a fluke. Copper planchets from 1942 were left in the bins. A 1940 steel cent would be the inverse, a trial piece, or a transitional error that represents a true anomaly. If such a coin existed and was certified by a top-tier grading service like PeaceGS or NGC, it would be a six-figure coin instantly. Now, let me stop you again. This is the second attention reset. If you think you have a penny that looks odd, remember this. The difference between a penny worth $1,000 and a penny worth $100,000 is verification. Don't go to a pawn shop. Don't sell it on eBay. You need to submit it to the professional coin grading service, PeaceGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. They will authenticate the error. They will protect you from the Chinese fakes and the copper-plated steel pennies that have flooded the market. It costs money to grade a coin, but it is the price of admission to the big leagues. Think about the emotional journey here. Most people see a 1940 penny and they shrug. They see where? They see a coin that has been through decades of hands, pockets, and vending machines. They look at the date and think, it's old. It must be worth something. And they are right. It is worth something, but maybe only a cup of coffee. The fear of missing out hits you because you realize that you, like 99.9% of the population, are overlooking the signals. The excitement comes from the hunt, the realization that you are now part of the 0.1% who know what machine doubling looks like versus hub doubling. The urgency? It's real. The market for high-grade mint state, MS, and error coins is booming. As the USA Today report highlights, experts like John Feigenbaum have noted that the current hype, fueled by AI-generated headlines, has coin shops inundated, with people hoping they have a lottery ticket. The market is paying attention. To wrap this up, let's talk about that potential market value. While the specific $755,000 valuation often cited online is typically associated with a perfect, high-grade, ultra-rare anomaly, the realistic holy grail for the 1940 no mint mark cent is usually related to a transitional error or a perfectly authenticated, extremely rare red, uncirculated coin. PeaceGS values the highest known 1940 Philadelphia MS68 red at around $9,000. That is the cap for a standard issue. But if you find a 1940 cent on a steel planchet, if you find the ghost that experts say shouldn't exist, that changes the math. We're talking about a lotto ticket scenario where the cap is limited only by the number of bidders in the room. So, Here's your call to action. The next time you get change, look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Look for the D for Denver, the S for San Francisco, or the absence of a mark for Philadelphia. A 1940D or a 1940S might be rarer, but they are still widely available. But if you see the no mint mark from Philadelphia and you spot a thicker 9 or a shadow on the 4 and the letters of trust look like they've been hit with a blur tool, you have a potential gold mine. Don't put it back in the jar. Put it in a protective sleeve. Get graded. You're no longer a spender. You are a collector. You are a hunter. The 1940 no mint mark wheat penny is a testament to the idea that wealth is hidden in the details. It is the ultimate symbol of pocket change turned into life-changing money. Don't be the guy who spent a lottery ticket on a soda. Be the guy who looked twice. And as we close this chapter on a 1940 cent, I have to leave you with a cliffhanger. If you think the 1940 ghost is intense, wait until we talk about the 1969 S double die obverse, the king of the Lincoln Memorial cents, which has been known to pull in even higher sums. The hunt never ends, and the treasure is always out there. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss the next deep dive into the coins that could change your life. You are sitting on a pile of metal that could be worth more than your house. It's in your pocket right now, or buried in that dusty coffee can on the top shelf of your closet. Every single day, Americans spend hundreds of thousands of dollars without realizing it. They trade history for a loaf of bread and unknowingly hand over a fortune for pocket change. We are living in an era of unprecedented hidden wealth. And while most people are looking for treasure in stocks and crypto, the smart money is looking at what the government minted decades ago. Today, we are dissecting one of the most elusive ghosts in American numismatics, a coin so rare that finding one is statistically equivalent to winning the Powerball. We are talking about the 1958 D mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny, and specifically why one of its error cousins shattered records and why a specific version of this coin, depending on the marks, could be your ticket to a massive payday. Let's stop you right there. Imagine this. It is 1958. The world is on the brink of a new era. The wheat penny is about to retire after a 50-year run, and the Denver Mint is churning out pennies by the hundreds of millions. These coins were meant to be mundane, a tool for commerce. But in the chaos of mass production, something went terribly wrong. You see, if you have the D mint mark version of the 1958 penny, you hold the final chapter of a legacy. But here is the kicker. Most collectors will tell you that the rare one is the 1955 double die or the 1943 bronze. They are wrong. The 1958 D cent holds a specific class of errors that the market is just beginning to properly value. We're talking about repunched mint marks or RPMs. The Denver Mint had issues that year. The D on your coin might not just be a D. It might be a D over a D or a D that is tilted or a D that is clinging to the tail of the number 9. These are the ghosts in the market. The standard 1958 D penny is incredibly common. There were over 800 million of them made. But if your coin exhibits what we call RPMs, or if it has that devastating BIE die break between the B and E in Liberty, you're no longer looking at a penny. You're looking at a collectible that can fetch serious premiums. The value of a standard 1958 D is a few cents, but the moment you spot that anomaly, you enter a different league. However, it gets darker, and this is where the fear of missing out should hit you like a freight train. The absolute pinnacle of the 1958 penny family, the coin that makes the D look like pocket change, is actually a Philadelphia mint coin without a mint mark, the 1958 double die obverse. This coin is the king of the wheat cents. And this is the source of the $812,000 valuation we are seeing on the market trails. Do you understand how rare that is? Only 3 specimens of the 1958 double die obverse are known to exist. 3. That is it. The doubling is so massive and blocky that you can see it with the naked eye. In God We Trust and Liberty look like they are printed in 3D without the glasses. But this is where the drama of the search comes in. Fakes and machine doubling are everywhere. If you find a 1958 penny and the doubling looks weak or shelf-like, it is worthless. That is the trap. A genuine MS-64 red example of the 1958 DDO sold for $336,000 in 2018. In January 2023, the finest known MS-66 red example sold for a staggering $1.136 million. Your $812,000 value, that sits right in the wheelhouse of a high-grade 1958 DDO. This coin is a ghost because most people searching for a 1955 DDO overlook the 1958 completely. They walk right past $1 million because they don't know what blocky doubling looks like. This brings us to the final confrontation of your treasure hunt. The 1958 D is your gateway, but the specific errors on that D determine if you're buying a new car or a new house. You need to look at the tail of the 9 in the date. Look at the coat and the bust. Are there extra Ds stuck to the profile? The Denver Mint had documented cases of repunched mint marks where the D shows up in the wrong place or appears twice. These are extremely valuable and represent the hidden wealth most people never see. The contrast is stark. On one hand, you have the massive volume of standard 1958 D pennies that aren't worth melting down for their copper value. On the other, you have the anomalies, the die breaks, the D over D, and the shadow D errors that are currently the darlings of the market. The market heat is real right now. The coin collecting world is experiencing a renaissance driven by treasure hunters who are roll hunting. The supply of high-grade error coins has flatlined, while the demand has exploded. So, I want you to do something right now. Pause this video. I know you are listening, but I need you to move. Get up, go to your jar of change, or that old piggy bank, or call your parents and ask them to look at their old coin collection. Look specifically for a 1958 Lincoln. If it has a D, put it under a magnifying glass. Check the date. Is there a shadow? Is the mint mark tilted? Is there a weird I between the B and E? If you have one without a mint mark, that's the Philadelphia issue. Look at the motto. Is there blocky, massive doubling? If you find that, congratulations, you just found a coin that sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if you have a D with a double mark, hold on to it. Do not clean it, do not rub it, do not touch the face. A single fingerprint can reduce a $20,000 coin to a $200 coin. The call to action is clear. Educate your eye. The difference between a common cent and an $812,000 rarity is knowledge. You can no longer afford to look at pocket change as trivial. Every penny is a time capsule, and the 1958 error coins represent a market trend we haven't seen since the 1955 DDO boom. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and keep looking. Remember, the journey doesn't stop here. The 1958 is the swan song of the wheat cent, but there are other ultra-rare coins lurking in the shadows, waiting for you to find them. What if I told you there is a specific error on the 1944 steel penny that is currently flying completely under the radar? A coin worth even more than the 1958 DDO? In our next video, we are going to reveal the hidden details of the 1944 steel transitional error, the coin that appears to be ordinary steel but is actually made of bronze. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe now and hit the bell. Your fortune is waiting, but only if you know where to look. Imagine standing at crossroads where a single cent in your pocket could be the key to unlocking a six-figure fortune. This is not a fantasy. This is the reality of the 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. We are about to embark on a journey into the heart of American numismatics, a world where history, metallurgy, and sheer luck collide to create objects of extraordinary value. You are about to discover why this specific coin is a ghost in the market and why the next one you find could change your life forever. Let's begin in the crucible of the Second World War. In 1943, the United States was in a fight for its life, and copper, a strategic metal essential for the war effort, was in desperately short supply. To conserve this vital resource for ammunition and military equipment, the U.S. Mint made a radical decision. It temporarily abandoned the traditional bronze composition of the Lincoln cent, a standard that had been in place since its introduction in 1909. Instead, the mint produced pennies from zinc-coated steel. These 43 steel cents are a distinct anomaly, a silver-colored token of a nation at war. Then came 1944. With the tide of war turning and copper supplies becoming more stable, the mint reverted to its pre-war composition. The plan was for all 1944 cents to be struck in the standard alloy, a mix of 95% copper and 5% zinc, often sourced from recycled ammunition shell casings, a metal known as shell case bronze. The order was clear: no more steel cents. The nation was returning to normalcy, and its coinage was to reflect that. Over 1.4 billion 1944 cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone, a testament to the resurgent American industrial might and the high demand for coinage in a post-war economy. But, as is often the case with history, the grand narrative is sometimes interrupted by a tiny, almost imperceptible mistake. Now, pause for a moment. Think about the last time you went through your pocket change. Did you see a copper penny from 1944 and just toss it aside? That simple act is the very essence of the spender versus collector dichotomy. Millions of Americans handle these coins daily, completely oblivious to the silent fortune that could be hiding in plain sight. In the high-octane world of coin collecting, the most valuable treasures are often born from these moments of oversight, these transition periods where the standard operating procedure was momentarily violated. This is where our story takes its most dramatic turn. In the hustle and bustle of the Philadelphia Mint, amidst the colossal operation of striking billions of new copper cents, a few leftover steel planchets from 1943 were accidentally left in the hoppers. When the presses began their thunderous work, striking 1944 dated coins, a tiny number of these steel blanks were fed through the machinery. The result was a ghost, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat cent struck on a steel planchet. It was an impossible coin, a relic from the previous year that was never supposed to exist. And crucially, because it was struck in Philadelphia, it bore no mint mark, making it the purest, most enigmatic phantom of them all. The exact number of these 1944 steel cents is a subject of intense debate, but its extreme rarity is undisputed. Experts estimate that fewer than 50 examples exist, perhaps as few as 30, across all three mints. The Philadelphia, no mint mark version represents the lion's share of these known survivors, but it is still a coin so rare that its appearance at auction sends shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. To put this in perspective, the 1943 bronze cent, its famous predecessor, has fewer than 24 known examples and routinely sells for over $1 million. The 1944 steel cent is its mirror image, and while slightly more numerous, is considered the second most famous Lincoln-era coin in history. This brings us to the heart of the matter, its value. The price of a 1944 steel cent is not a static number. It's a living entity driven by condition and the feverish desire of collectors to own a piece of this history. In average, circulated condition, the coin can still command a staggering price, with a USA coin book estimate placing its value at $30,940. In uncirculated mint state condition, its value skyrockets into the stratosphere, often exceeding $62,635. And when exceptional examples come to auction, the competition is intense. In 2013, a specimen graded as MS64 by PCGS sold for a breathtaking $158,625. This is the $630,000 potential you've heard whispers about. And it's not just hype, it's the true measure of its market heat. Stop and think about that for a moment. You are currently existing in a reality where a single cent from your childhood piggy bank or a jar of loose change on your dresser could be worth more than a brand new luxury car. This isn't just a story about coins. It's a story about hidden wealth. It's about the fortune that slips through our fingers every single day. We are conditioned to see coins as mere currency, but in the world of numismatics, we see them as artifacts. A 1944 steel cent is a historical document, a tiny, silent witness to a monumental moment in American history, forever forged in error. It's the epitome of the collector's dream, a diamond in the rough, a masterpiece by accident. So how do you identify this treasure? It is deceptively simple. The most immediate test is the magnet test. An authentic 1944 steel cent is magnetic. It will stick to a magnet with the same attraction as any 1943 steel cent. Furthermore, it will weigh approximately 2.7 grams, significantly lighter than the standard copper cents, which weigh in at 3.11 grams. Visually, it will appear silvery white, lacking the warm, reddish hue of its copper counterparts. However, a word of caution, counterfeiters are aware of this value. Some ordinary 1944 copper cents are plated with a silvery coating like zinc or chrome to mimic the rare steel version. These fakes will fail the magnet test and will be heavier, but to the untrained eye, they can look convincing. If you suspect you have one, you must consult a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. This is the step that separates the dreamers from the doers. The urgency is real. The market for transitional errors, particularly those from the World War II era, has only intensified as collectors and investors seek tangible assets that are finite and historically significant. Each time one of these coins goes to auction, it sets a new record, drawing in new bidders and reigniting the passion of seasoned collectors. It's a market trend that shows no signs of slowing down. The 1944 steel cent is not just a collectible. It's a piece of history that is becoming increasingly unobtainable with each passing year. The window of opportunity is narrowing, and the next one discovered could be the one that makes headlines. Now is the moment of truth. We've reached the resolution. The 1944 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny is more than just an error coin. It is a testament to the power of human error, a symbol of resilience, and a vessel of immense, untapped wealth. It is the ultimate proof that treasure can be found in the most unlikely of places. This coin represents the pinnacle of the spender versus collector mindset. Which one are you? Are you the person who sees a penny and thinks of its face value? Or are you the one who sees a story and a potential fortune? Here is your call to action. This week, I challenge you to do more than just glance at your pocket change. Take a moment to examine it. Look for that silvery sheen. Put a magnet to it. Visit your local coin shop or explore online resources. The most successful treasure hunters are the ones who are prepared. The knowledge you now possess is the key, and the key is useless without the lock to turn. Go and search. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. The ghost is out there, waiting to be found. But before you go, consider this. The 1944 steel cent is just one chapter in a vast and captivating saga. The world of numismatics is overflowing with stories of hidden treasures, from the ultra-rare 1958 double die that is worth over $500,000 to the legendary 1909 SVDB, which is known as the Holy Grail of the series. Each coin tells a story of history, intrigue, and immense value. The thrill of the hunt is a never-ending journey. We have only scratched the surface of what your pocket change might hold. And in our next exploration, we will unearth the secrets of another ultra-rare coin that has captivated the world. A coin so shrouded in mystery and controversy that its very existence was once debated. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe and stay with us as we continue to uncover the fortunes hidden in plain sight.